Well, the day has finally come where Garmin has added a subscription service for Garmin Connect. I think we all knew this would come at some point, despite the fact that Garmin themselves often made a big deal of the fact that your data was entirely free and accessible to you. And that part is still true. In fact, Garmin even made a video they released today talking about all the features that are still free in Garmin Connect in the platform and that your data is free. And in all of the digging I've been doing into this and using it, that is also true. All of your data is still there. It's just that they've now added a bunch of new insights and stuff on top of that, which they want to charge you for. How much? $6.99 a month or $69 a year, $70 a year. For reference, that is only $10 cheaper than Strava's premium subscription. And we get a lot of stuff out of Strava's premium subscription. So the question is it worth it? And for that, I'm going to dive into all the features. And there are roughly like 6 or so core categories of features that Garmin has highlighted. And I'm going to give you the hands-on walkthrough on my own account, showing you how those features actually work. Now, the very first thing you do is to sign up. So you got to give them a credit card or a PayPal account. You basically go into the settings tab in the lower right-hand corner and then choose the Garmin Connect Plus option at the top. When you do that, it's going to offer a free 30-day trial, and then it'll start billing you after that. So I went ahead and I chose that free 30-day trial, and then it'll bill me annually after that based on my credit card. And then it'll bill me annually after that at $69 a year. Now, in this case, you put your credit card information in there, which is kind of odd because Garmin already has my credit card for the Garmin Balance subscriptions, for my kids' smartwatches, if you will, that has the LTE or cellular connection, and they have it in there for some of my InReach plans, and so I'm not really sure why they need it again. I then tried the PayPal option for fun, and that went into like a weird little box thing. I don't understand that, but nonetheless, I eventually got my credit card in there and activated it. From there, the very first thing it's going to do is go ahead and ask you to confirm you want to enable its AI feature called Active Intelligence. So that isn't technically required. So you could use the rest of the Garmin Connect Plus features without enabling the AI piece. So that is kind of like an opt-in sort of thing. So I went ahead and opt into that. Also, while you're there in the settings options, there's other things that you can enable there. So you can enable those different features individually if you want to, separate from basically all of it all at once, if that makes sense. Here's the actual privacy kind of pieces they talk about there on the screen in terms of what they're doing with your data from an AI standpoint. So let's talk about that very first feature, that active intelligent feature. That's kind of like the headline feature here, and it seems like it's roughly the same as what Strava's little tidbits of things they show you on a per activity basis. The difference is this is on your entire Garmin Connect account at the top of your dashboard, and it gives you some tidbit of the day. And the very first tidbit it gave me today is arguably the most useless tidbit it could ever give me. It basically just told me I had done my active minutes for the week yet again for the last 4 weeks, and that told me I've been doing the same thing the last 4 weeks. Why? That is not off to a good start, but neither is Strava's AI tidbits. We all agree they're totally useless, and so, hey, more of the same. The good news, though, is that the rest of the features are actually pretty good. Whether or not they're worth paying for is a whole different ballgame, but at least it's all downhill or uphill from whichever direction it is, we're going a different direction. Also notable is if you click on the right-hand side, you can tell them whether or not that thing was useful. So obviously I gave them my thoughts there. And after you've seen that one active intelligence tidbit for the day, it'll then tell you you're all caught up and that you're done for now. So no more tidbits for you for now. Oh, hey, and a quick note before the next item. If you're finding this video interesting and useful, just watch it all the way through. That is, as always, the only thing the YouTube gods care about. It really does help with this video and the channel quite a bit. So the next piece then is the performance dashboard. And they seem to go all out on this one here. So this is actually on the website and not in the app. One of the few features that is on the website side as opposed to just purely in the app. So in the website, when you go on the left-hand side, you'll see the performance dashboard. And the very first thing it's going to ask you is which sport profile you're doing. Once you choose that, it just gives you a gigantic data dump of a gazillion different panels. I think there's like maybe 10 or 15 panels to begin with, but there's 123 panels, at least for just the cycling side alone, that you can mix and match and drag and drop and all this kind of stuff. I will give them credit. This is very, very extensive. Now, a lot of these metrics are things that you don't care about in any way, shape, or form, but now you've got the option to care about them. I do wish, though, this was on the mobile app, because I think in 2025, it's definitely like a mobile first sort of thing, but I also do very much appreciate it is on the website. Okay, so the next feature is the live activity feature. This is something that Garmin actually had 13 years ago in the Garmin Fit app. The ability to basically see data from your sensors on your phone in the Garmin Connect app, except then it was called Garmin Fit and before, anyway, separate sort of thing. So the idea here is that you can start an activity on your watch. I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna start an activity on my watch. I'm gonna go down to strength, choose strength, and I'm gonna choose one of the workouts in this list here. Here we go, the training calendar. I've got one on there right now for a 10-minute body weight, and I'm gonna start that workout. And immediately in just a second, you're gonna see on my Garmin Connect app live, it'll show a new panel. Oop, I gotta hit start. There we go. So I just hit start and boom, right away it shows that. And I can tap on this and I can see all my metrics at the top. So I can swipe through this panel, heart rate, and I can see some of the different movements. I can see my heart rate zone, and then of those movements, the exact areas of the body I'm working. If I was doing a cycling workout, you can see some screenshots of this right here. I'll see my power numbers, and I'll also see the structured portions of the workout as well. Now, those things I just mentioned there are relatively similar to what Coros and Apple already do today on their phone companion apps. The key difference though is the ability for me to click on those steps of the workout. Like in the case right now, I can click on this and choose the workout, and I can see burpee or tap burpee, and it shows me animations for the burpee, and I can see all the different movements for that, as well as a bunch of different text down the bottom there. The idea, of course, this is all for indoor workouts, so you could certainly use it outdoors if you wanted to. Maybe you have a phone holder on your bike or something like that. You just want to see metrics on this as opposed to on your watch, or whatever the case may be. And I think overall this is actually executed really, really well. This is great if you're in a gym and you want to see those movements, especially more complex movements beyond just a burpee. But if you've got a huge long list of structured workout bits, you can now see this on your phone, as opposed to trying to look at that on the watch and seeing them there, because it's kind of hard to look at those animations on the watch. It's just, they're very, very small. So I like this idea. Also, it's worth noting that unlike in the case of Apple with their Apple Fitness Plus, Apple Fitness Plus charges for those workouts, right? They charge for the concept of the workouts and doing those workouts, the structured workouts and the videos and all that kind of stuff, versus Garmin isn't charging for that. That's all still free today. That all exists today. It's just that now you can see those more easily on the smartphone app as opposed to just on the screen on your watch itself. So the next bit then is the Garmin training guidance expansions. So if you have a Garmin Run Coach plan or Cycle Coach plan, these are plans where you've gone into the Garmin Connect app and you've chosen to do, for example, a half marathon plan, a marathon plan, wherever the case is. It asks you what your goal time is. It maybe even selects the exact race you want to do. If you do all those steps, then as part of that, you're going to get additional videos and additional content that'll somehow help you in that journey. Now, I did all that and nothing came up for me, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. This is what it's supposed to look like according to Garmin, with more tidbits at the bottom there. It's unclear to me at this point, though, how much of that is like regurgitated stuff they've already have versus new stuff. That would, though, roughly be in line with what Fitbit does in their Fitbit Premium, having additional like coached tidbits, if you will, on top of your training plans. And so that's an area that I don't have a problem with having a paid subscription component to it. So then the next feature is enhanced live track. So this has basically two components to it. First off, you're going to go into the settings and you're going to enable this enhanced live track feature. And this is going to give you a new landing page option. So this landing page option is something that you can make up a custom URL. So live.garmin.com/DCRainmaker.DCRainmakerLive, where the magic happens, or whatever you want it to be. You can also change that later if you change your mind. And then from there, you can give that to people and they can see your live activities automatically. So this is useful if perhaps you're doing some sort of like cross-country trek or something like that. You just want your friends to have a page where they can always see your live activities in one shot. You can do that right then and there. The downside, though, is there's no privacy zone options there, at least none that I can find anyway, like you would have on Strava. So I can't easily give that out because I don't want people to see like my home address. And even though I start all my activities away from home, I just wish there was some sort of privacy zone option. They already have that, for example, in the Garmin Bounce smartwatches, the concept of geofencing and things like that. So it shouldn't be too hard to port over. Now, the next feature as part of that live tracking is that it will now send text messages automatically when you start a live track session. Up until now, they send emails to your friends and family that you predefine in context, but not text message. I personally find that pretty useful because my wife often ignores those emails that go into her inbox and then's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I sent you the email." And I appreciate that. She's giving me the evil eye from across the way here, but she knows it's kind of true. Versus me, when I get her notifications, I see them in my email right away because I'm constantly in my email. Just different philosophies on email management. So I do appreciate the option to have those text messages automatically notify her so she knows instantly that I'm off on a ride and where I'm going on that ride.
It's called different strokes for different folks.
I'm not sure if you could hear that. She said it's called different strokes for different folks. that's one way of looking at it. Now, the last category of features is new social features. So that comes in 2 buckets. The first off is that on your profile picture, you will now get a little star on your profile picture to indicate that you're special. Also, you can change the color of your picture frame around your face to indicate you're even more special. And then beyond that, they've given you some new badges and challenges. So when I go into the challenges, I see 11 new challenges for April coming up. It's not clear what other badges are unique. I can't see that in that page there. Maybe they can make that a little more clear. Okay, so let's talk about kind of my overall thoughts on this. First off, I don't have a problem with subscription features by themselves. Garmin has a number of other subscription things already. For example, in Garmin InReach devices, the satellite communicators, they have a subscription cost for that, which is fair because they have to pay Iridium, basically the company that deals with all the satellite stuff. They have to pay Iridium for those services. So that's fair. Likewise, Garmin has their Garmin Outdoor Maps Plus features. They are, once again, paying other companies for various specialty maps, bird's eye imagery, and all sorts of other stuff that they pay other companies so that you can put it on your watch or your bike computer or whatever it may be. Again, I don't have a problem with them charging a fee for that, and they've been doing that for like a decade plus, right? Just like the InReach stuff a long, long time. Likewise, my kids' smartwatches, the Garmin Bounce smartwatches with cellular connectivity on them, I don't have a problem with that either. They're paying the cellular providers for that, and thus, I have to subsidize that in some way, shape, or form. The same is true if you have Garmin's, 409/45 LTE watch. I have no problems with any of that stuff. Where it gets messier, though, is this, right? This is something where the idea behind Garmin Connect is that you pay them $1,000 for a Phoenix 8 or $3,000 for the Damascus Steel version of a Phoenix, the Mark edition, if you will. And of course, you're then subsidizing the entire Garmin Connect platform with those premium purchases. And so in this case, this is by far the biggest update Garmin has ever done for Garmin Connect. Like, not even close. There's never been an update in Garmin Connect's entire history that has had this many new features on it. Period. And so I wonder going forward, will we get many new features? Keeping in mind, we rarely ever get Garmin Connect features, like ever. I mean, we got the refresh thing a year ago that everyone got really upset about, but beyond that, like, we don't get much in the way of new Garmin Connect features. And so I wonder, like, A, does it matter if we don't get new features since we never get them anyways? And then B, if we'll ever get new features again that are free. And that, I don't know. We're just going to have to see, right? I feel like about half of these features should have been free features that should have been included for buying a $1,000 device. It would have been key upsells, if you will, for buying a $1,000 device, versus some of these features are valid to be held back behind a paywall in some way, shape, or form. But again, we'll have to see how things go down the road. Update at the very end of editing this, I got a new insight for today, telling me that I haven't taken many steps because I was on the bike for a while, but I still could do it today. It's giving me encouragement that I could still finish my steps. Thanks. With that, thanks for watching. Hope you found this video interesting and useful. Hit subscribe for plenty more sports technology stuff. It's starting to warm up, not only here, but in the sports tech world. With that, have a good one.